As the film kicks off, we see three climbers, Dan, Becky, and Hunter, climbing a mountain. They seem to be enjoying themselves. They give each other moral support and the push they need so as to get to the top of the mountain. Then suddenly, Dan, Becky's boyfriend, slips and freely suspends at the mountain. He tries to get his grip back to the mountain but is unable to. Hunter and Becky try to help him, but before they get to him the rope snaps and he falls to his death. In the aftermath, Becky goes into a depression state and blocks everyone out from her life, including her father. We see her in a bar calling Dan's phone so that she could hear his voice in his voicemail. It goes so far that she decides to take a bunch of pills and possibly die, but before she does so Hunter calls her. After Dan's death, Hunter decided to take a trip to God knows where, trying to get away from the tragedy. But she comes back after Becky's father calls her and asks her to come and help Becky out. She proposes an idea to Becky and asks her to join her in an adventure, but Becky seems reluctant. The adventure involves climbing the B67 TV tower, one of the tallest tower ever made. After some thinking, Becky finally agrees to Hunter's proposal and they both set out for the tower. They take a detour at a diner where Hunter shows her a trick on how to charge a phone using a lamp. They spend the night there, and the following day they continue to the tower where Hunter starts recording a vlog. When they get there, Becky starts having second thoughts, but Hunter convinces her to be strong and ditch the fear. Agreeing with Hunter, they both start climbing the tower. As they go up we see signs of weaknesses on the tower, most probably because of its old age. Halfway up, about 1,000 feet high, Becky asks Hunter for a bottle of water as they rest. At this point it's quite clear that they're way high. Afterwards, they continue with the climb to the very top of the tower. They seem to be on top of the world. They take some selfies, and then launch a drone to take aerial video recordings. Hunter, being a daredevil, does some stunts. She later on convinces Becky to do the same, and Becky obliges. After this Becky gets Dan's ashes from her backpack and scatters them to the wind. With this she finally agrees to let him go after a whole year of denial and desperation. Without wasting any time they decide to go back down. Hunter helps Becky to get to the stairs and she starts climbing down. But then suddenly the ladder start to break and together with Becky they give in to gravity and begin to fall. Swiftly Hunter manages to hold onto the pole and prevent Becky from falling way down to the ground. She then struggles to pull her back up to the top of the tower. Becky's hurt leg starts bleeding and Hunter finds a way to bandage it. That's when they realize that they're stuck on top of a 2,000 plus feet tower with no way down. Looking for a way to get down, they discover an emergency box and in it they find a pair of binoculars and a flare gun. They also realize that they have no reception, which means they have no way of calling for help. So they come up with an idea to lower Hunter's phone from the tower top to see if they would get bars. They tie the phone to a rope, then Hunter lowers it from the top. Seeing that it's not working, she lowers her body too, so as to get the phone lower, but unfortunately, they don't get a signal. So they decided to reinforce the phone, put a message on standby, and then drop it to the ground. That way, once it gets to the ground and receives a signal, it would automatically send the message to Hunter's Instagram followers asking for help. Unfortunately, that doesn't work either. A few moments later, using a pair of the binoculars that they found in the emergency box, Hunter discovers a man and a dog at the foot of the tower. Becky throws her shoe down to try and get his attention, but the guy doesn't see it. She then throws the other shoe and this time the dog sees it. The man becomes alerted but still doesn't see them. Becky decides to use the flare gun, but Hunter tells her not to because the daylight would hinder the flare from being seen. So they wait for nightfall to use the flare. Doing so, the man and his buddies see the flare and they realize that there are two girls on top of the tower, but instead of helping them they steal Hunter's car and they drive off with it. The two girls are now left stranded at the top of the tower with no idea what to do next. As they spend their first night at the top of the tower, Hunter confesses that she and Dan had a relationship behind Becky's back. This puts their relationship in a tough spot, and they spend the entire night and half of the following day without talking to each other. As thirst and hunger forces them to think of a way to get back down, Hunter decides to lower herself to the satellite dishes to get the backpack that Becky dropped on their first attempt down the tower. Unfortunately, she doesn't get to the backpack because the rope is too short. So she unhooks herself from the rope and jumps onto one of the satellite dishes. She gets the backpack and hooks it back to the rope using the selfie stick. She then jumps off of the satellite dish and hangs onto the backpack. She asks Becky to pull her up as she climbs her way up the rope. When she's about to get to the top, Hunter slips and lets go of the rope. Full of worry, Becky slowly peeks down hoping that Hunter is still on the rope. Fortunately, she finds Hunter still on the rope and seated on the backpack. She tells her that she hurt her hands, and that Becky would have to pull her up on her own. Becky agrees and starts pulling Hunter up. When she makes it to the top, Becky sips a gulp of water and hands Hunter the bottle. But Hunter refuses, saying that they should ration the small amount of water they have. Becky takes a piece of paper and an eyeliner from the backpack. She writes a note mentioning where they are and that they need help. She attaches it to the drone and tries to send it all the way to the dinner where they had taken a detour. Sadly, the drone starts to run out of battery. She thinks that the drone could make it to the diner, but Hunter tells her that it won't. So Becky is forced to retrieve the drone before its battery is fully drained. The drone makes it closer to the tower and Becky grabs it before its battery completely dies and shuts down. They are forced to spend another night at the top of the tower. As Becky falls asleep, she has a nightmare that she was alone at the tower. She starts looking for Hunter only to find her dead next to her, and getting fed on by vultures. She wakes up and Hunter assures her that it was just a bad dream. Right there and then, Becky comes up with an idea to charge the drone. Using the trick that Hunter had shown her back at the dinner, she climbs to the tower's indication light, pulls out the bulb, and tries to plug in the drone's charger. But the charger proves to be too short to complete the circuit. So she uses her wedding ring to complete the circuit and the drone starts charging. Hunter tells her that for it to work she needs to fully charge the drone. She holds onto it until it's fully charged. Once she gets back to Hunter, she flies the drone out towards the dinner with the note she had written. But just when the drone is about to get to the dinner, it gets hit by a truck. The truck driver simply looks at the drone then drives away. This puts a halt to their plan, and once again they are left with nothing to do. Later that evening, Becky realizes that she's left with one last option, that is to send a message using her phone and then drop it to the foot of the tower. She asks Hunter for her other shoe so that she could use it to drop her phone, but Hunter tells her that they can't use her shoe. Becky asks her why, and Hunter explains that they can't use her shoe because she's just but a figment of Becky's imagination. She explains that when she slid and fell, she never landed on the backpack. Instead, she fell on the satellite dishes, bled out and died. It so happens that Becky was just imagining that Hunter was up there with her to avoid the fact that she was up there all alone. She records a video to her father apologizing for her behavior and tells him that she loves him. After this, she decides to make her final stand. Go home or die trying. She pretends to be asleep, then a vulture comes to feed on her wound. As it begins to peck on the wound, she grabs it by the neck and kills it. She tears it up and eats it so as to regain some bit of energy. Afterwards, she lowers herself to the satellite dishes and get to Hunter's body. She finds a vulture which apparently was feeding off of the body. After it flies away, she sends a message to her father and puts the phone in Hunter's shoe. She then apologizes to Hunter for what she's about to do, then stacks the shoe inside Hunter's body. With this done, she pushes Hunter's body from the tower and it speeds down all the way to the ground. Fortunately, the phone gets a signal and sends the message automatically to her father. Help comes and Becky gets rescued from her near-death experience. If you would like to watch the full movie, subscribe to the channel and hit the link in the description box below to watch the complete movie on Apex Flix. Please like the video and share it too.